When we talk about luxury, when we talk about style and finesse, the Skoda Superb is an ideal example. It has a lot of technology inside, a host of features and loads of luxury to make you happy. Along with that, as its muscular stance says, it is also a great car to drive. Today, we take a look at the technology and everything else inside the new Skoda Superb. Now, while the Skoda Octavia might be a car that's meant to be chauffeured around, it is also a good driver's car. The car is really long, but once you're behind the steering wheel or you're inside the car, you don't really feel the heft, and you don't really feel exactly how long the wheelbase is, which is a good thing, which is not a bad thing at all, because you do get your luxuries and you get a well maneuverable car, which for its length is somewhat unheard of. And when it comes to the driving, the steering wheel is pretty nicely weighted. It's not really heavy, it doesn't give you a very stunningly inspiring feedback, but it is still well weighted, it is still well calibrated, it's precise, it's accurate, and this makes handling the car very easy. This makes handling the car a pleasurable experience or a fun experience. And as you'd see in these bumps, the car soaks up the bumps pretty well, most of the bumps, and unless you've got a very heavy crevice on the road, the car doesn't really get unsettled. In fact, it doesn't get unsettled at any point. It feels pretty sure-footed, and even at good speeds, at about 140-ish, it still feels like it's not even driving at that pace, which is good because you do not feel unsafe in this car for even 1 second. And on overall terms, including the ride quality and the drive quality, this is a car that everybody will love to drive, that everybody will love to sit on the back seat. And everything considered, this is one of the best luxury sedans to buy, especially considering its price point. So this is Skoda's infotainment system, which is powered by a 5.5-inch touchscreen interface, which you power on with this, and then you tap on menu, and this is your home screen. So you get a continuous infinite scrolling icon format, which gives you all the options that you would be looking for. So here you get your image browser, which loads images by CDs or SD cards, and this is the audio setup. This is for the rest of the settings, including Bluetooth connectivity. This gives your vehicle information and your telephone settings, including contacts and calling and recently called lists. And this is Volkswagen and Skoda's Smart Link system, which once you open, you get 3 options for Mirror Link, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And this of course recognizes the devices that you connect and gives you a prompt to use one of the car infotainment settings as and when you would need it. And the rest is fairly straightforward. You get an FM radio and a music player. So this is what we've seen in previous cars as well, like for instance the Skoda Octavia and the Volkswagen Beetle. So a lot of Volkswagen and Skoda cars use the same infotainment system, and it's a familiar format, it's a familiar environment altogether, with the large and very tactile buttons over here, and these chrome inlays also add a sense of style. You of course get 2 knobs. The right knob is for scrolling through in case you don't want to use the touchscreen, and the left knob is of course the volume button. And one thing to note is that the touchscreen is a little too responsive at times. It can be it might take you a while to get used to it. Once you tap on it, this of course has registered all right, but sometimes when we are selecting music, for instance, we go to selection and my music. So once I'm trying to tap, the touch screen sometimes tends to uh, scroll instead of registering the tap, which can be a little annoying at times. But apart from that, a fairly familiar interface. On the music format, you get to choose your source, which includes an SD card, USB port, Bluetooth, and of course aux. And this gives you music selection. And here you can go to the audio setup, including Bluetooth connectivity. And you also get information on what mode you're driving in, what mode your phone is on, how much battery your phone has, and how much network you are receiving, and the temperature outside, which right now is 44 degrees, so that's really hot. And apart from that, you get your audio settings from here as well, where you can choose the sound that the Canton powered speakers are going to produce. So you get an equalizer which gets 4 profiles over here, and you can also go for the individual setting as well. So this is one thing that's different from Skoda's Octavia, which is one grade lesser than the Superb. Apart from that, you get optimizations. You can choose optimization for front and driver, and you get surround sound as well, which is pretty good. And then you get subwoofer levels for producing the bass. So that's your audio setup. Then you go to your settings, and of course you get your display settings over here, where you can choose to get screen on or screen off. You can choose how bright or dim you want your display to be, touchscreen tone, animations, and time on standby mode, which are all pretty standard in all cars. You of course get a keyboard for tapping out your names of contacts or searching for messages as and when you need them. Language, which is set to US, English US now, and everything else is pretty much what they should be. Mobile data transmission permissions, which allows Skoda apps to use your mobile data, and Bluetooth connectivity can also be accessed from here, and pairing is also pretty straightforward. And once again, you get a number of devices that you can pair at the same time, and you can keep 2 devices connected simultaneously and switch between them as and when you would want. Now that's as much as settings goes. Apart from that, we go to the vehicle settings, where you get a green score layout, which is all about how efficient you are as a driver. You go to selections, and that's where you get something called convenience consumer, which gives your seat ventilation control and your climate control settings. And then you get your driving data, which is a trip meter of sort, which gives you since start for an extended period, and along with it since refuel. As you can see, we've driven nearly about 263 kilometers, and we've received an overall mileage, including city, including standby, including highway, of 12.5 kilometers to a liter. The rest for the telephone is also once again a familiar layout, where you can add your favorites, as we've seen in previous Volkswagen and Skoda cars. Same layout for the keyboard as well, so nothing new over there. And yep, so that's about it for the Skoda Superb's infotainment system. It uses a recognized layout, and that's a good thing. Now, along with everything else, you get driving modes, which can be accessed from the button right beside the driver. So once you tap on it, you get 4 modes. The first one is of course eco, which is meant for efficient mileage and efficient driving, and the next is normal, which is a balance between the mileage and the performance, so you get a bit of both. And the third mode is of course sport, which is meant to give you a more sporty feedback from the engine, the steering wheel, the suspension, and everything. And the fourth mode is individual, where you can adjust how your steering responds. You can adjust how your drivetrain gives feedback. You can also adjust adaptive front lighting and climate control, which makes this a pretty neat addition and gives you more control of your Skoda Superb. Now, music playback inside the Skoda Superb Laurentine Clement edition gets 8 Canton powered speakers and a subwoofer to the front. What that means is that you get good audio, not just good audio, you get premium audio. You get a plush feel about the sound. It's tight, it's got a very good bass response. The bass response is also very composed, and for most of the tracks, they do sound really good, and the loudness is also pretty great, and so is the overall ambience that the audio creates. You can really feel how tight and how crisp the overall audio is, and that is one of the best parts about the new Skoda Superb. Along with the pretty comprehensive infotainment system, you get a dual zone climate control unit, which you can control from here along as per your preference of temperature on two ends. The blower control remains uniform, along with the air direction flow and defoggers, of course. And one very good thing in the Skoda Superb is, of course, the ventilated seats, which you can control with this button, and it can be cooled as well as warmed, so it depends on what you want from the seat, and that is a pretty good thing, except that for one thing, that the seat cooling makes a lot of noise, which does seem a little uncanny. Moving on from the air conditioner, over here you get storage space along with the USB port, the aux port and the power socket, and after that, of course, you get the pretty nice looking transmission tunnel, which gives you the DSG gearbox with the Laurentine Clement badging, and then you get the mode button over here for the driving modes, and parking brake and central locking button as well, along with the boot opener and Volkswagen's Parkotronic sensors, which gives access to the camera as well as all the car's sensors at one go. Now, the Skoda Superb steering wheel is also familiar to other Volkswagen and Skoda cars, and it gives you a familiar layout. In terms of feedback, it is heavier than, say, the Skoda Octavia, and is reasonably intuitive, gives you decent feedback on the road, and is pretty precise, so it's easy to point the car to a place, to a spot, and that is important because the Superb is a pretty long car, so it really needs a good steering wheel, and it does get one. In terms of the layout for infotainment services, you get a voice command button over here, you get the volume dial over here, and then you get the next track and previous track buttons, which complete the left side of the controls. To the right of the central hub is one for cruise control, and then you get your phone settings, and then you can shift through your recently called list with this dial. You can also tap on this button, which takes you back or takes you to the other settings, so you can get telephone and vehicle and driving data and audio. These are the 4 things that you can see on the MID, and it is all controlled through this 3 buttons over here on the steering wheel. Now, the multi-information display to the center of the instrument cluster is not a colored display, but that doesn't really matter. You operate it from the steering controls, and you get 4 options. You get audio settings, you get telephone controls, you get your vehicle settings and driving data. We're going to begin with driving data because this is the trip meter and the mileage counter as well. So what you get here is range or distance to empty, and then you get convenience consumer scale for climate control, and beyond that you get total travel time since ignition was started, and total distance covered. We haven't really covered much distance, as you can see, and then the average speed of travel as well, so we've even moved pretty slowly as well, and your speed right now, along with the speed warning that you've set, engine oil temperature, and present fuel consumption and average fuel consumption. It is this that sums up the overall trip meter and mileage counter over here. After that, you get vehicle statistics, where as you can see, no entries are available right now on vehicle data. And moving on, you get telephone controls, where you can scroll through your last called list, which is pretty easy and pretty convenient as well. And the last thing that we have on the multi-information display is, of course, audio settings. So you get the presently playing track, and you can switch between the tracks with this toggle over here on the steering wheel. Now, as you would believe, and quite rightly so, the rear seat of the Skoda Superb is where you are supposed to be and where you should be, because this is pretty comfortable, and not just comfortable, it feels plush, it feels rich. You get good material usage on the doors. The doors themselves are pretty heavy, and you get good audio as well. Along with that, you get your personal AC vent with a temperature control, you get ample storage space, and you also get an armrest with a cup holder which you can open like this, which somewhat works, might not work for everybody because you can only fit a smaller cup over here. But on overall terms, you sit pretty comfortably. You've got loads of space in front, good thigh support as well, and good back support. You can see enough headroom as well, knee room is plenty, and the overall cabin exudes a quality which makes you feel very happy, which makes you feel good, and that is exactly what the Skoda Superb is all about. The Skoda Superb is actually a superb offering from Skoda. It offers a lot of luxury inside, along with a host of technology that gives you every feature that you'd want in your car. It does miss out on a dedicated satellite navigation unit, but with Android Auto and iOS also being coordinated with Google Maps for voice assist, you don't really miss out on such features. The back seat is also where the place you'd want to be, and you'd love to be chauffeured around in this car. And if you have lots of luggage, then this boot has more than enough space for you. That's it from our Skoda Superb review. Stay tuned on digit.in for more such technology.